Okay, I'm going to talk about a subject that's a hot button issue right now, and that's the data centers. I've had actually a few people ask me what my opinion is, so I'm just going to put it out here on the internet, for better or for worse. I'm probably going to make a lot of people upset with my uh, thoughts on the matter, but I have kind of complicated thoughts with it. I'm not necessarily for or against it. I view these data centers as basically factories, which I think more people need to look at them as. They just don't make a physical product, but they are making a product, and they are have a lot of similarities with general factories. So if it is more or less worse than another factory, that's how we need to look at it, if as to whether or not it's good for our community. Do you want certain factories right next to your house? No. Um, but we need to look at each situation in an individual scenario, because there's also tons of variety with these projects. Now, I actually have two that I'm looking into. I'm looking into the one here in Garden City, because this is where I've lived for the past, um, what is it, 17 years. So I have some vested interest in this community thriving, even if I'm leaving. The other one, of course, is in where I'm going to in Alaska, and because they have one going in as well, and the two are completely different scenarios. Here in Garden, it's going on to private land. It's going on to farmed land, and that is not pristine wildlife area. It is already pretty corrupted by uh, humanity, if you will, because the harvesting process and all the vehicles and various things, and the chemicals getting poured onto it as pesticide and herbicides and things of that nature. It's already got PFAs happening, and it's already dumping a ton of water, and we'll get into that too. Uh, but basically, it's not a place where wildlife thrive. They don't thrive in agricultural lands unless they are unless it's a chunk of the land that's meant for the wildlife, like a CRP, which this area is not. The other thing with the Alaska one, it's going into pristine wildlife. It's going into state lands and things of that nature. So that is a kind of eminent domain situation, and also it is affecting wildlife, going to affect wildlife much more. Also, up there, the climate, that heat signature issue people like to talk about, is going to be a much bigger issue there due to the cold. It's going to affect the area much more than it will here. Um, but I'll get into the heat signature issue as well here in a little bit. Now, the other differences are, the one here is planned to be solar and natural gas. We produce natural gas here. It makes sense that we'd have a natural gas plant in this area rather than coal plants that are shipping in the coal constantly to go. The coal plant we have is pretty aged. I've heard a few rumors that it might need some work just due to age. Um, so it would be a good idea to have more power scenario. So a data center would give a reason for a company to put something here. In Alaska, the power they plan to have a power plant made just for their data center, and it's going to be almost more power than the rest of the state uses, or pretty close, or at least a very significant amount. And they're doing it with coal, and that also leads to another issue why I'm against that one and not this one, because renewable resource of solar and using coal there. And also, for those that don't know, Alaska doesn't really ship coal. It doesn't sell coal. It mines enough coal to supply its own power plants, basically, and a few other things. But it's not really known for shipping it out. They only have one coal mine right now, and that's because that supplies everything they need. If they put in this other power plant, they're going to need to put in another coal mine, which is going to have a cascading effect of environmental issues. So that's another reason why I'm against that one. This one here, not so much. Now, also, there's the issues of eminent domain. The one here, once again, it's being put on private land, and the data center will be right next to it. So we don't have to worry about like power lines going through people's property, and then the eminent domain of public interest taking over that person's land so that they can put those massive uh, 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 power lines through. Meanwhile, in Alaska, the plant and it are not going to necessarily be next to each other, so that's going to cause an even greater eminent domain issue. Then there's, of course, the water issue people talk about. The water issue is really a moot point for here. That is because the land at its current use is somewhere between 2 and 4 billion gallons a year. If this proposed plan gets put into place, it's not going to use anywhere near that amount. It's going to use an amount that is significantly smaller. Current estimates are somewhere between, like, I think 300 and 500 million gallons is what it's going to utilize. But that, which is about a 1/10 the amount compared to what is currently being used. So in reality, this is actually a net gain, if you will. It's not so much a gain, but you're dropping the amount you're using by such a significant factor. Now, I have been talking to a lot of the water experts in our area, and they are for this. Now, most of them are in positions where they are only allowed to be advisors. They cannot make a public opinion. But when you talk with them privately, they are about this because they've been wanting that area of farmland to be drastically changed, drastically reduced in use, and this would do it. And as I said, this is a private land that they're putting it on. And if you've ever tried to get a farmer to not farm land, they need to do that for a profit. So this way they are able to, the land is utilized and they're making their profit, but they aren't draining the aquifer anywhere near as much as they were in that sand area, which is also where apparently where it is has been getting a very small amount of water. I believe somebody told me that anything that's north of the river has been doing fine and they barely have to irrigate. The things south of the river, they have to irrigate way too much, and that's what's draining the aquifer excessively. So the water issue isn't an issue in this scenario because it's a net gain in Garden City. The other issue a lot of people like to talk about is that heat signature thing, which, yes, and all not power plants, all factories create heat signature. A lot of things create heat. The roads we drive on create those heat signatures. Now, yes, they do make a lot, but there is also a way to mitigate the heat signature, and that is by planting greenscape, which this project has already incorporated. So that's another reason why I'm for this one. That the other one, to my knowledge, does not have that. The one in Alaska doesn't have that planned in any way, at least as far as I can tell. Then there is, of course, the PFAs. People worry about that, and whether or not a data center creates PFAs, that depends on a lot of different factors. Not all data centers make a ton of PFAs, which is those permanent chemicals going into the area. But I can tell you right now, they already are putting those there. And I don't know the amount, so I can't do a comparison of if that one's going to be a net gain or not. But I mean, the pesticides, as I said earlier, pesticides and herbicides are, they are PFAs. They stay in the environment. So that's why I am for this. Now, the last reason I am for the one here is the economy, the rural economy in general right now is having a hard time. And I feel like the industry here needs to diversify. We need to come up with some other way to fuel the economy of Garden City. And this is a good way to do it. Is it a gamble? Yes. I think that there's too many data centers going in. Also, yes. But history shows us when we have these big booming new things, they tend to explode, find that they're not as good as they thought, and then it backs off. And the ones that stick around are the ones that were made properly. The ones that will be made properly in this case, I think, are the ones that use renewable resources, because the primary cost for a data center is the power. And if you can use a renewable resource versus a fossil fuel or something that costs more or is going to do nothing but go up in price over time, then you want to have one that is made for the long run. And this does look like it's going to produce quite a few jobs. Some people are arguing that there's no proof of the jobs. They're acting like these centers will have no people. It's not like some automated like sci-fi tech thing. It's a big building, and things need to be maintained. So if nothing else, they might not have all the computer science people there. Maybe there's only a few of those, but that building is huge. And anybody who's maintained a building, you have to have a pretty large staff to do something of that nature. So no matter what, it's going to create jobs, and there is a gamble to it, but everything has a gamble. In this case, from what I can tell, this is being done right. And the other factor is this one is being done in the most outright way. Like the reason everybody knows about it is because they're in the early staging or planning processes of it, and they're asking the community what they need to do to be a good partner. Is it because they want profit? Yes, but you know what makes it easier to make a profit? Being a part of the community rather than antagonistic to the community. They're going to the neighbors of the plant. Not everybody is going to be by this. A lot of people that I've talked to are acting like this is going to be right in their backyard. You're not even going to see it most likely unless you go out a ways to find it. It's not going to be right in your backyard, and the people who it is going to be in their backyard, they were the first people to be approached. That's how we all found out about it, because they were being discussed it early on, as in, hey, what do we have to do to make everybody happy? Trees to mitigate sound, green space to mitigate any heat signatures, and also just trying to create some wildlife, in which case, from my understanding, this has the potential to actually create more wild space than is currently being used at this point in that section. So those are the reasons why I've chosen that I am for the one here in Garden, but I am against the one in Alaska. Basically, everything's going right, and the economy needs it. So I hope this clarifies some things for some people. Maybe it will, maybe it won't. But that's my opinion, for what it's worth. And I almost forgot one other fear that I have, which is a worry that if this company is working with our community and asking what we need to do and negotiating with us, and I'm afraid that if another company comes in, they might just eminent domain us, and the state might push it through, and it could turn into a Koch brothers project, which it is not right now. So that is my other fear. This is a organization that's playing well, and we might not get what we want if another company comes in.